So about the digestive, in the lecture, you said something at one point about the small intestine has very little microbes. Would you say there's none, or you're saying?
No, I wouldn't say there's none. There's just
because of the stomach does, because it has H. pylori in the stomach.
yeah.
But did you give us an instance of a microbe for the small intestine?
Well, Vibrio cholera will inhabit the small intestine. Yeah. And I'm sure there are other strains as well. The small intestines just has a relatively few number when you compare them to other systems. For instance, the large intestines, billions of bacteria. When you look at the small intestines compared to the other systems, it's going to have the fewest number.
Is it because of the peristalsis, or is it because of the acids?
It's because, by then the acids get neutralized,
right.
So it's more just a flushing, a continual flushing movement through the small intestines that keeps things going. You don't really have that kind of flushing in the large intestines and in the stomach. They kind of churn a little bit more. We talked about a couple of skin conditions that are spread by vectors. So something else to keep in mind I could ask you about, again, in talking about transmission, vectors would be something I might ask you about. We mentioned two of them, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, caused by Rickettsia rickettsii. And again, another unique thing about this microbe is it's an obligate intracellular microbe, and that its transmission takes place 4 to 10 hours after the bite. Okay, so those are a couple of key things that could help you, identify this disease if I was asking you a question about it. And then Lyme disease was the other example that we had of a vector-transmitted bacterium that infected the skin. And this one was Borrelia burgdorferi. And it was unique in that it was a microaerophile spirochete with a linear genome. And I throw that out there because if you remember, bacteria have a circular genome. There's one gene that's circular, and then here, one chromosome that's circular. And this microbe has a linear genome, so it's unique in the bacterial world. Chickenpox. Hopefully, you're somewhat familiar with chickenpox. We're talking about a virus now. And its relation to shingles, be sure you're aware of that. It's called varicella zoster. I don't even know if I ask you anything about measles and German measles. If I do, it's just that they're viruses that infect the skin. Okay, that would be all that I would expect you to know of those two. And then warts, also a virus that infects the skin. Papilloma virus. Any questions so far?
Sorry, you only want us to know that if it's a bacterial or a virus, and if it's the disease or the condition?
I would say that there's probably 4 things that you should know: the microbe's name, the disease that it causes, a condition, and of course what it is. Yeah. and I guess the system that it infects. And I think if you know those 5 things about a microbe, then you probably know what you need to know about it. Okay.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Okay, so its name, you know what it is, what disease it causes. I don't know if I can repeat it again. The condition, the system that it attacks, and
Like it's virulence. So what's the fifth one?
I don't know, rerun the tape. I don't know.
Would virulence factors also be in that list?
Oh, yeah.
No, only with regards to Streptococcus pyogenes and Staphylococcus aureus, because we talked about them specifically. Oh, and the Enterobacteriaceae, the E. coli, the Shigella, Salmonella, because we talked about their virulence factors specifically. I don't think the others we did. So just in regards to those 2. Let's see, if we list them, I might be able to remember them here. So, microbe's name, disease, condition, system, maybe I repeated one twice.
What it is.
So, I don't know, maybe this fits in one of these 2, I guess. If you can master those 4 with regards to any of the microbes that we talked about, I think, oh, yeah, what it is in regards to whether or not it's bacterial or viral. I think that's what I said at the end there. So if you know those things, it probably is going to help you tremendously in doing the test. Because again, I'm telling you, the last 30 questions of the test are matching. And a lot of this is going to be just that. Go ahead.
So for the ones that you did want to see on the virulence factors for, it was Staphylococcus aureus, pyogenes, Shigella, E. coli, and Salmonella.
Well, E. coli, Shigella, and Salmonella, you can kind of group them together as the Enterobacteriaceae. Okay, remember that little discussion of those guys? They all are very similar. And then you have Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes as the other 2 that you would have to know virulence factors for.
So then those 3, the interior would have, they would have the same virulence factors, whereas the strep and the staph have similar.
Right, because remember we talked about Shigella, Salmonella, and E. coli having the lipid A molecule, the O polysaccharide, and the core polysaccharides. All of them have those, even though the O polysaccharide can be variable between the different strains. All the members of the Enterobacteriaceae have those components. Okay, and so that can, certainly the lipid A molecule can trigger an immune response or serve as a virulence factor. So those 3 molecules there serve that role.
And then the strep and the staph have similar. Like they
Yeah.
don't necessarily have, like strep has the M protein. And
Right, exactly.
But staph has like a different protein. It doesn't necessarily have the M. And the
But let's talk about what they do. Strep and staph, they both have capsules that can serve to protect them. They both have receptors for the FC receptors that can protect them. They both produce toxins that serve to break down host molecules. Yeah, I listed a number of toxins. Again, yeah, they both interfere with complement. So there's a lot of similarities with those microbes with regards to their virulence factors. And that's my point with Salmonella, Shigella, and E. coli. They pretty much are all the same as well. Nick.
Is there certain chapters that we should look for as far as the old material is going to be on the test?
No, yeah, I wouldn't even, honestly, unless you need it for clarification, with regards to the older material, I'd stay with your exams study those exams. And I don't mean just study the answer, because I may take the question and change the answer. Okay, so study what makes the question right or wrong, not just the answer. Because I'm not going to give you the question with the same answer. I might give you a similar question, just change the wording a little bit, or change the answer where I can. If you struggled with regards to the old material, if you struggled with the stuff on immunity, the innate immunity and the adaptive immunity, B cell, T cell stuff, there's going to be quite a bit of information on that as well. I would say at least 10, 15 questions on that information. So you need to have that mastered to do well on the exam. Okay, let's move on to the digestive system. We were talking about the mouth. We mentioned tooth decay, Streptococcus mutans. You should be familiar with that microbe and the condition it causes and the byproducts that it produces to cause that condition. Remember, we talked about the production of lactic acid and the production of glucans. Both of those are a result of metabolizing sucrose. So that's key to the development of cavities, is the presence of sucrose in the diet. Also be aware of periodontal disease, what it is, gingivitis, a condition of periodontal disease. Helicobacter pylori, microbe that infects the stomach. The unique thing about it is its ability to live in the stomach because it produces that strong urease. That allows it then to create that neutral environment that permits it to tolerate then that high acidic environment. So you would want to know that. You would want to know that it does that. It produces that urease. And then if you remember how it causes the disease, the fact that it corkscrews through the thick mucus lining of the stomach so that it irritates, really, is what it happens. Is it corkscrews through until it gets to the point where it's right next to the tissue, and then it really irritates that tissue, causes an inflammatory response, and you get the development of an ulcer. So I could ask you, I guess in this case here, which of these microbes causes stomach ulcers? You might use a question like that for this. Viruses of the upper digestive system, we just mentioned herpes simplex and mumps as the two main viruses. Herpes simplex 1 affecting the lips. What I would want you to recognize here is that this is a condition that you're going to have for life, because it infects the cells, takes up residency there, and will be there indefinitely, and that it's spread or transmitted via saliva.
You're talking about herpes simplex.
Herpes simplex 1, yeah. The other virus we mentioned was mumps. The specific thing about it is that it infects the glands. We mentioned the parotid glands, but it can affect other glands as well. And, go ahead.
Well, does that make it a respiratory disease then? If it affects the glands in your groin or something like that, then it's not, or your armpits, it's not respiratory. So how are you going to categorize this?
Right, well this falls under the digestive system, okay? That's where it's categorized. Okay, but I agree with you, but we've recognized that this is the case. There are some diseases that are transmitted via the respiratory system that infect other parts. Chickenpox is an example of that. not chickenpox. Help me out here. Okay. Measles. Measles is an example of that. It's a respiratory disease that makes its way into the bloodstream and then spreads to the skin. There are a number of diseases that do that. Okay. This is an example of one of those where it does spread or is transmitted via the respiratory system. But once the transmission takes place, it makes its way into the bloodstream and moves to the glands. So affect the parotid glands, can affect the ovaries and the testes as well.
So that's digestive though?
That's where we have it categorized, yes.
Sorry.
Hey, I didn't put them there. Oh,
It's okay, I just want to know where you think they belong, which is where all intents and purposes.
And then that brings us then to the lower digestive system, and we mentioned the microbes that you find there in the small intestines. One of the microbes that infects the small intestines, Vibrio cholera. We talked about it a number of times throughout the semester, so I won't say